What's going on, guys? Just figured I'd post the long form of the back workout day before yesterday, or was it yesterday? Something like that. Anyway, this was the workout where I hit the 515 doubles. I did that 3x2, like I said in the last video, if you guys watched that at all, kind of leading back into a strength block. I'm just kind of tapering off what I'm doing right now as far as just kind of going in, doing a little bit of bodybuilding movement, just getting some blood flow. Took a break off of the strength for several weeks, maybe 5-6 weeks by the end of it. And just to kind of let tendons, joints, and everything just kind of get calmed down from the strength block. And also, I can't just launch right back into a strength block. I haven't found success in the past doing it that way. So I had thought to take this time to just kind of drop a little bit of body fat, get to feeling a little bit more healthy, and then when I roll back into a program where it's training exclusively for strength in the three main lifts that I like to do, the deadlift, squat, and incline press, that will allow me then to eat in a slight caloric surplus and be feeling a bit more better, have a bit more strength, and put on a little bit of size during that strength block. I feel like that helps me when I'm peaking towards a PR lift to be a little bit bigger and stronger and not be going into it smaller or at a caloric deficit when I'm looking to maximize the strength aspect of that. And touching on that, from the conversation that I had in my last video, my last long format video, which was hitting PRs and kind of how it works for me to kind of build confidence going into a PR, and how I don't like to miss or have weight move too slowly as I lead up into a PR. It's just my own preference. I've just found my own success best that way. If I can keep the weights moving well and keep building my confidence going into a PR lift, I feel much better about it, and I feel like that added assurance of having success leading up to that point, and having weights move well allows me to attack the PR with that extra that really brings it and allows you to get really aggressive with that weight, as opposed to having failed previously where you might be a little bit more timid with it. And touching on that, what I found to be interesting is the adrenaline component to lifting weights and to really doing anything, because we all know when you get fired up enough and you get that adrenaline pumping, you're going to be able to do something special. You're going to be able to do something that on a regular day you maybe couldn't pull off. Now, it's figuring out how to personally tap into that. And I have found that for me, if I can tap into that adrenaline, I'm going to be able to pull something or push something or do something that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do. And it will allow you to get just that much more aggressive. So for myself, I like to kind of have a routine. You'll see me even with lighter weights, I set up and do everything in the exact same sequence as I would the bigger weights. Rarely do I jump under even a smaller weight, or if I'm pulling deadlifts or something. I usually keep the same patterns even for those smaller weights. And obviously with something like an adrenaline dump, you can only kind of go to the well for that so many times, you know what I mean? So if it's not a maximal effort, you clearly don't want to try to trigger that adrenaline spike, because you only just have so many of those. So say you're going for a PR and you hit that PR, and then you go again for another PR, the chances of hitting that go down a lot, depending on how versed you are in that lift and how close to a maximum effort that PR actually is. And there's all kinds of interesting ways to that people will tap into that aggressive to get fired up. People yell, people will smack themselves, people will, whatever the different, techniques are that people use to kind of get fired up. Sometimes I'll think of things that have happened in the past, that where a situation where my adrenaline spiked, and it will kind of get me back in that mindset. And you get your heart racing, and you were just going to be able to do something different. It's like a lot of times if people are in emergency situations and things, they're able to do things that otherwise they couldn't normally. So you have to put yourself in that fight or flight mindset when that adrenaline really kicks in. And if you're able to do that, it's really interesting that a lot of times special things can happen. You hear stories even about people that are able to do just incredible feats of strength that otherwise they just never could do. They would just physically you would assume it would not be possible for this person to be able to do this thing. But under the right circumstances, there are plenty of examples of people doing things that otherwise should not have happened. And really the only explanation is the adrenaline component, so it's interesting. And play around with it and see if you can't get yourself fired up and get that adrenaline kicking in. Come do a scenario, run through something in your mind that you can reliably tap into that adrenaline and get yourself fired up before you go lift. And for myself, I found that can be really successful as well, especially if you're dealing with something that's intimidating. Again, though, you know, especially if you're doing it on the same day, you know, it's not something that you can just go back to again and again. You know, your adrenaline it's limited. You know, it's not something that you can just tap at any time you want. You know, save it for occasions where you really need it or you really feel like you need it. I mean, you know, we're in here picking up weight, so it's not like it needs to happen. But if you can put yourself in a situation like you feel like it needs to happen, it's kind of cool to get yourself in that mindset and see what happens. And honestly, what's really cool about that is, like, you know, we're all trying to push ourselves to the limit. We're all trying to get more performance out of our body than we did last time. So it's like, you know, you are good to take any edge that you can give yourself as far as your thoughts and your thinking patterns. You know, so, you know, in my case, like I said, it's trying to build up that confidence. It's trying to make sure I'm confident when I go over to grab that weight. It's getting fired up beforehand and making sure that I'm, you know, getting my heart rate up, getting my heart racing, and knowing that I'm going to go over there and attack it. But yeah, it's nice to have that routine that you do when you walk up to it every single time. It's kind of the same way. So then you when you go to attack it, it's not like you're doing a different pattern than you did the time before, or you're thinking about different things that you didn't do last time. Here I was, of course, doing some dumbbell rows, and as you can see, quite obviously, I had to flip that hat around backwards. I must have been getting a little bit tired or something, so I had to get that intracranial pressure up a little bit. You know, the hat on forwards just won't do it. It's got to be backwards to get that extra gear. But no, I'm just playing. But honestly, what it is, you know, like I said on the last video was as I'm transitioning away from this current phase of just kind of like, you know, dicking around but staying healthy in there, and I go back into a dedicated strength block, I like to definitely switch back over to those free weights as opposed to doing a lot of machine work. Towards the end, you won't see me do very much machine work in the next couple of weeks as I lead into the next block. I switch back over to the free weights because you know, if you stick on the machines too much, while they're nice to get a good pump, and, you know, if you're just looking to build muscle, they can pretty well do the trick in a lot of situations. If you're looking to get strong, I suggest incorporating a lot of free weights. You know, a lot of you, I'm sure, already know that, of course, but, you know, it's just things I've picked up from my experiences. Like, you know, the machines, they definitely have their place, and they're good finishers. I like them as like a finishing exercise or finishing movements for accessories, and, you know, just to keep that size on, maybe get a little bit more size out of it. But as far as the strength aspect, there's just no replacing just picking up weight, just free weight and moving it around. I am definitely getting bored with this, you know, just kind of the bodybuilding stuff, you know, just getting the work in there. I'm really looking forward to getting back into a strength block and actually start knowing that I'm making some progress. You know, it's hard in these moments. I mean, yes, the scale has dropped a few pounds, and that's cool, you know, to lose a little bit of fat and be a little bit healthier, start moving a little bit better, and things like this are nice as well. But, you know, just being strong is cool too. And you know, the bodybuilding aspect, I don't know how people just only strictly bodybuild. No offense to anybody out there. It's just not for me. I don't kind of get inspired enough to really stay consistent about it. And I just like to eat too much. I'm kind of a fat ass. So, you know, props to you guys that can control your diet 100%. But I enjoy food. So it's kind of like I kind of had to go in the direction of strength a little bit more. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to switching back over and watching those numbers climb up and having some fun with some of the other guys in the gym. You know, you kind of see behind me there, we kind of throw up numbers and stuff. And they've been able to throw up their cool numbers. And I've just been like, you know, screwing around. It's even kind of hard sometimes to come up with content, you know, to throw on here, just because like what I'm doing isn't always that entertaining. It's just kind of simple 10 to 12 rep stuff. But yeah, anyway, video's about to wrap up. Thanks so much for stopping by. If you guys aren't subscribed, really cool if you did that. Otherwise, man, go out and pick up something heavy. We'll talk to y'all soon. Take care.